There are nights. Nights when the darkness itself feels alive. When every creak of the floorboards, every sigh of the wind, carries a whisper of something ancient. Something hungry. The stories told speak of a fear born in the shadows. A terror that can change its face, its form, leaving one to wonder if what was seen, what was experienced, was ever truly real. Or if it's still out there, waiting. What happens when the legends walk among us? The warnings often begin subtly. A sound rolling in from the village edge, a guttural bark, too deep for any natural creature. Or perhaps more unsettling, a sudden, suffocating silence descends. A void where even the chirping crickets dare not break the stillness. It is then, behind the presumed safety of locked doors and shuttered windows, that the old tales are recounted in hushed whispers. Tales of eyes blazing in the utter dark, their glow emanating not from reflected light, but from a chilling internal fire. These eyes, the stories claim, belong to an entity that sacrificed its very soul for unholy power, a being that stalks the night, no longer human, yet not truly beast, an abomination of both, and neither. For many who share these accounts, this is no mere folklore. It is a terrifying, intimate truth. A menacing shadow passed down through generations, a narrative that always spirals towards one dreadful question. What can be done when the monster looks back with a familiar face, or has no face to see at all? These stories didn't simply appear. They clawed their way from the very soil of the Dominican Republic, an island where the veil between worlds often feels thin, particularly in regions like San Juan de la Maguana. Here, the wilderness presses close, and nights stretch long and deep. Imagine the 17th and 18th centuries, a crucible of cultures. Indigenous Taíno whispers of ancient spirits mingled with the stark beliefs of European colonizers. Potent spiritual traditions, carried across the ocean in the hearts of enslaved Africans, added their own shadows and light. In this melting pot, anxiety took root. The unknown grew into monstrous shapes. The deep forests, the isolated villages, the unsettling quiet of a moonless night. This was the stage where fear itself seemed to become tangible. Stories weren't just tales told around flickering lamps. They were warnings, desperate attempts to explain the inexplicable horrors that the darkness could bring. Some say a man, desperate for power, made a pact, trading his very essence for the ability to shed his skin, to become something other. This bargain, echoing the pervasive Christian fears of demonic influence, twisted familiar spiritual concepts into something profoundly nightmarish. The land itself seemed to absorb these fears, its very atmosphere charged with the potential for monstrous transformation. The stories became the history of that fear. They call it El Galipote. The name itself can send a shiver down the spine. Elders speak of a shapeshifter, a sorcerer of terrifying power. Most commonly, it stalks the night as a massive dark dog, the loup-garou, its eyes burning like embers. But its malice is not confined to a single form. Accounts speak of it morphing into a wild pig, tusks ready to rend. More unsettling still are the tales of El Galipote becoming inanimate objects, a silent tree by a lonely path, a shadowed stone, observing, waiting. Some even speak of a terrifying variant, the zanku. This one moves with impossible strides, covering vast distances in moments, or worse, becomes invisible. A silent, unseen predator. Its nature is described simply, pure malevolence. It delights in cruelty, disrupting fragile peace, frightening travelers, leading unsuspecting night walkers astray, their screams swallowed by the night. But the chilling whispers, the ones that curdle the blood, speak of a deeper hunger. They say El Galipote feeds on the blood of innocent children, a nightly ritual believed to grant it eternal life. Darker still, tales allude to macabre acts of desecration, marking the Galipote as an entity of ultimate evil. One chilling account unfolds many years ago in the Dominican Republic. A young girl, having disobeyed her mother's command to wash clothes during daylight, faced a dreaded punishment. The chore had to be completed after nightfall. Their home relied on a small, nearby stream for water, accessed with basins carried to a large pot in the courtyard for hand laundry. As twilight deepened into night, casting long, dancing shadows, the girl began her task. The isolation of the courtyard felt amplified by the encroaching darkness and the rustling whispers of the surrounding forest. Filling the large pot, the rhythmic splash of water was the only sound, until an unwelcome noise broke the quiet. From the edge of the dense woods, she heard it, a distinct snap and rustle, like heavy footsteps deliberately moving through dry leaves and underbrush. A shiver moved down her spine. She paused, heart racing, peering into the blackness beyond the courtyard's faint light. Seeing nothing, she tried to dismiss it as a stray animal and returned to her scrubbing. But the sound came again. Closer this time, a deliberate, heavy tread. "Papa? Mama? Is someone out there?" Her voice, small and trembling, vanished into the night, unanswered. Terror seized her. Dropping the wet clothes, she scrambled towards the house. Relief turned instantly to renewed fear as she saw her parents already inside, safe behind closed doors. Breathless, she recounted the sounds, the feeling of being watched, the unseen presence lurking near the bushes. Her father, perhaps annoyed or simply seeking to calm her, stepped outside with a lantern. He swept the light across the area, searching diligently. He found nothing out of the ordinary. "There's nothing here," he reassured her gently. "It was probably just the wind, or an animal that has already gone away." His words, spoken with calm authority, seemed to soothe her frayed nerves, and with hesitant steps, she returned to the courtyard. Her father went back inside. The darkness was once again her sole companion. She was close to finishing now. The pile of clean clothes grew in the basket beside her, ready to be hung. Lost in the simple rhythm of the work, a subtle shift in the air registered on the edge of her perception, a deepening of the shadows behind her. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw it, a dark, hulking figure. Standing silently. Fear seized her body, stole her breath. She was paralyzed, unable to turn, unable to cry out. Every instinct screamed, "Don't move, don't look." Slowly, painstakingly, she began to inch away, a desperate retreat towards the faint light spilling from the house. Then came a sound that shattered her frozen terror, a low, guttural growl, vibrating just inches behind her. In that desperate instant, her eyes darted, spotting a discarded metal pipe lying nearby. Hope surged through her fear. Carefully, silently, her hand snaked out, fingers closing around the cold metal. With a burst of adrenaline, she spun around, the pipe raised like a shield. She came face to face not with a man, but with a nightmare, a monstrous dog, fur the deepest black, eyes glowing with an unnatural, terrifying light. The creature lunged. With a scream caught in her throat, she swung the pipe with all her might. Connecting with a sickening thud against its leg, the beast yelped, a sound of pain mingled with fury, recoiling from the blow. As it turned to flee back into the suffocating darkness of the bushes, she managed one more desperate swing, striking its tail before it vanished completely, leaving only the echo of its pained cry and the pounding of her own heart. Shaking uncontrollably, she stumbled into the house and collapsed, recounting the terrifying encounter to her parents. They rushed outside, but the creature was gone, without a trace. The courtyard empty, save for the scattered laundry. They quickly gathered the clothes, her mother helping to hang them, while her father stood watch, peering into the night. The next morning, by the light of dawn, the girl and her mother went to the stream for water. There they encountered a neighbor, a man who lived a little farther down the road, sitting by the water, washing his feet. They exchanged polite greetings, but as the neighbor stood to leave, the girl noticed it. A distinct limp. Looking closer, a gasp caught in her throat. One of his feet was badly injured, bearing a long, deep wound. It looked unmistakably like the mark left by a heavy metal pipe. The neighbor saw her staring, his eyes widening slightly, before he quickly limped away without a word of farewell. And in that moment, a cold certainty settled. The monstrous dog the girl fought in the dark was never just a dog. The tales often detail not only the horrifying appearance and actions of the Galipote, but also the desperate, often specific, measures taken against it. For while it seems invincible, folklore does offer slivers of hope. Specific vulnerabilities. The most consistently mentioned weakness? A stake made from a Palo de Cruz tree, which must be cut down specifically on Good Friday. Other accounts mention protection through wood crosses, or white sanctified weapons, blessed with water and salt. These elements highlight a deep-seated belief. The fight against such an entity requires not just physical, but spiritual defense. The legend of El Galipote is said to have begun with a rich man, consumed by avarice, a dark ambition for wicked deeds. Craving ultimate impunity, he sought a power beyond mortal reach. In a hidden, unholy place, he made a terrible pact with the devil himself. In exchange for his eternal soul, the infernal lord granted him a chilling immunity to death, a shield against the justice of men, and the unnatural ability to shapeshift, to pursue the criminal acts he so deeply desired, further enhancing his capacity for wickedness and evasion. With his newfound, unholy protection and shifting forms, the man descended into a life of unchecked villainy. His name became a whisper of fear. He believed himself invincible, a ghost untouchable by blade or bullet. However, the devil is a master of cruel ironies. The pact came with a singular, desperate weakness. His cursed life could only be ended by a silver bullet, fired from a specific revolver belonging to the local parish priest. Bullets that had been blessed within the hallowed walls of his church. This was the solitary threat to his otherwise impenetrable existence. Aware of this lone vulnerability, a gnawing paranoia began to fester in the Galipote's dark heart, and a decision was made with ruthless clarity. The nights that followed were spent in the shadows, observing the rectory, learning the clergyman's habits. The Galipote moved with a predatory grace, a creature of darkness closing in on its unsuspecting prey. He saw the glint of the revolver occasionally, a small, wooden-handled thing that held the power to unravel his demonic pact. Fear, a sensation he thought long buried, resurfaced, sharp and cold, fueling his resolve. Under the shroud of a moonless night, the Galipote made his move. Slipping through the shadows, he bypassed simple locks and entered the priest's dwelling. He moved silently through the humble sleeping house, each step measured, deliberate. As he sought his target, he found the priest in his study, a worn Bible open before him. The revolver lay on a nearby table, catching the faint light from a single candle. Every muscle in the Galipote's body tensed, ready to strike. He moved with terrifying speed. Before the priest could even register the intruder, the Galipote was upon him. The struggle was brief, brutal, silent. His powerful hands easily overpowered the clergyman. His eyes, now glowing with dark, malevolent fire, fixed on the weapon. Snatching the revolver, he felt its weight. The cold metal a conduit to both his potential death and his ultimate freedom. Raising the barrel, he pointed the priest's own blessed weapon at the man of God, who, though surprised, met the dark gaze with a look that held not fear, but a profound, serene faith before the fatal shot echoed in the confines of the room, swallowed by the night. These are not just stories of monsters. They are presented as testaments to the desperate courage of those who have reportedly faced the abyss. Generations have passed, yet these stories endure, clinging to the shadows of the Dominican psyche. What is El Galipote? Is it truly a man who bartered his soul with dark forces, as the oldest tales suggest? Or a terrifying echo of European werewolf lore, twisted and reshaped by the unique spiritual landscape of the Caribbean, where African spiritual beliefs also played a significant role? Perhaps it's viewed by some as something more primal, an embodiment of the inexplicable evils that occur, given a monstrous form to make them comprehensible. The night has a way of remembering, and in the Dominican Republic, the darkness often remembers El Galipote. The stories are a warning, an echo of encounters that blur the line between myth and a terrifying, tangible reality for those who tell them. The fear is a legacy, a reminder that some shadows are said to walk and shapeshift and hunger. What stories have you heard whispered in the dark in your communities? Do you believe such entities exist, born of pacts and ancient fears? Share your theories, your own chilling encounters, in the comments below, if you dare.